I'm Ryan Newman, and since I started with Indiana Donor Network and Driven to Save Lives, I found out that some people think that they can't be an organ donor. The truth is, anyone can sign up to be an organ donor.
Anyone?
Anyone?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyone can sign up to be an organ donor. So don't count yourself out because somebody's counting on you. Go to driventosavelives.org and sign up today.
But my heart's going to you, Ryan.
Love that shirt.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another night of iRacing action here on the National Racing Network, where tonight it will be the stars and cars of the SimSpeedShop.com Premier Series of the Sim Racers Club, coming to you live from Dover, Delaware. My name is Chris Graham, joined in the booth by Mr. James Watson, my normal co-pilot a couple of nights a week. Coming in to cover for the Bizzle. Feel better, buddy. Quite frankly, he sounds absolutely terrible. Be well, Bizzle. But James, as we're getting ready to wrap up practice here, Dover is one of those places that you're either going to get an incredible show or you could get an absolute wreck fest. And there are so many variables that come into play, you almost don't know until you're kind of to the halfway point or even deeper.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about this place is that, like you said, races can take all kinds of different flavors. You know, it's a track that you really have to be easy at. There's a reason why they call it the Monster Mile. You know, Miles the Monster is always hungry, and if you're not respecting him, he will bite you, and it will not feel good. You know,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, to me, this is one of the all-time great conservation tracks. This is a track where you need to be aware of how hard you're driving your car. You need to be easy on it, easy on entry, easy on throttle, easy on exit. Otherwise, you are going to absolutely demolish your tires. This concrete is not kind to the rubber on your tires. If you're not careful, you're going to be suffering 20 laps into a run. And it's not hard to get lapped here. It is a small track, only a mile.
Yeah, that is exactly right. And taking a look at the weather conditions here tonight, 79-degree track temperature, ambient temperature, 122-degree track temperature under partly cloudy skies. These guys are going to be loose, wiggly, wobbly, and all over the place tonight, quite frankly. As a little pick up the 7 of Hunter Waters, who's out for his qualification attempt. We'll give you the rundown as everybody gets their laps in. The Lost Chevrolet Hunter's Fried Pickles, number 7 for the Newburgh, Indiana native. He is working lap number 1. For the second straight week, Kevin Dick is not in the field here this evening. So he's already used the one drop week you get. This one's going to hurt him in terms of the fall championship. Now, a couple of dominating performances in the first 2 seasons might be okay in terms of the overall championship, but we'll see how that develops over the rest of the season as Hunter Waters goes quick time, 23.939 seconds. Only 3 100ths back, going to be the 77 of Andrew Moore Jr. Larry Bruner, Braden Carroll, Justin Rideout, Andrew Mraz, and Tom Wilhite all on the speedway as we speak. Bruner's first lap, 24.394. Lap number 2 for Hunter Waters is second quick, 23.402. We've got a new quick time. Andrew Moore Jr., 23.397. 23.397 as we pick up the number 8 of Justin Rideout off of turn number 2. Andrew Mraz is going to slot himself up into position number 3 with his first lap at a 23.452. Rideout's first lap coming up on the board, and it will be good enough for fourth quick, 23.652 seconds. Still more Waters and Mraz at the top of the charts, with Rideout and Braden Carroll occupying the top 5. Troy Haight now out on the racetrack, as is Garrett Johnston and Roger Rios. off of turn number 4. Lap number 2 for Rideout will be an improvement, but doesn't move him up the board. 23.5 flat. Braden Carroll up to second quick, 23.442 seconds. Pick up Garrett Johnston, who's wadding that race car up off of turn 2, sliding down into the inside wall. The self-cleaning racetrack is doing its thing, already picking up the 77 of Andrew Moore Jr. He has finished his qualification run, getting some extra laps in. Will pick up the 23 of Richard Smith II. Smith working lap number 1 of his qualification run off of turn number 2. Roger Rios' first lap, going to be good enough for 7th quick, 23.542 seconds. Tyler Seville also out on the speedway working his first timed qualification lap. First lap for Smith, going to be good for 11th quick, 24.456. Pick up the Chubbies, number 11 of Tyler Seville, as he is off of turn number 4 on lap number 2. And it's going to be 9th quick, 23.956 seconds. A little bit of a disappointment there for Tyler Seville on lap number 1. See what lap 2 is going to look like. As Troy Haight goes quick time, 23.396. The 28 machine was quickest in practice. He was on the provisional pole. New quick time. Tyler Seville, 23.348 seconds. 23.348, but this is a tight field. Got to go all the way back to 6th place, Andrew Mraz, to find a 10th of a second as we pick up the 14 AJ of AJ Digby. University of Mount Union Esports on the 14. Oh, he slides it off a 4 and into the outside safer barrier. Lap number 2 will not score for AJ Digby.
Yeah, I don't think that one's going to count.
No. Lap 2 will not count. Now, we've got 5.5 minutes left in the session. Quentin Clark, Johnny Avila, Richard Fletcher, Adam Benefield, Doug Wysocki, and Mike Larch have not been out on the racetrack. Bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see if it plays out for them, because I would tend to think we're seeing a lot of blue sky here, James. The track is only going to get hotter, at least would be my thought process on it. If it's already loose and concretey, I would think you want to be out there qualifying as quick as you can.
But think about it this way. If you're at the back, it's easier to save tire because you don't have to worry about matching someone else's pace behind you or spending time having to let that person go. Like I said, this is a tire conservation race most of the time. So because, especially with the hotter temperature, if you can just putt around, save tire, and make sure that you're not falling off the lead lap, like even with the stage breaks, like if you conserve well enough, that will be a huge advantage later in the race. This track is really hard to pass on, but if you build up a huge tire advantage in the middle of a run, you won't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about someone trying to hold serve on the outside. They'll try, but they won't be able to pull it off because their tires will have absolutely nothing, and they'll just skate up and you'll just blow on by. That is the biggest advantage of tire conservation, is taking away the other car's ability to fight back.
Yeah, and quite frankly, when you look at where the stages fall, they're not really in a good spot for either a 3-stop strategy or a 2-stop strategy, for that matter, as Johnny Avila is getting out onto the racetrack. So we'll pick up the 63 waiting out there at the end of pit lane. The stages tonight are at lap 30 and lap 70. If you want to make this a 3-stop race, you're going to have to go 37 and a half laps, so basically 38 laps. If you're going to make it a 2-stop race, 3 stints total, you're going to have to go 50 laps. So there really isn't a good spot, unless you get a caution flag, to try and make that strategy call pit stop. The stages just don't line up for it. We'll have to see what the stage 2 will have the caution, as Johnny Avila scrapes the wall on lap number 1 up on the outside. Going to be kind of a no harm, no foul, because he's trying to get the tires warm anyway. But he is ripping that Harry Gant line through 3 and 4. Like we said, lap number 1 will not score for Avila. We'll see. Well, yes, it does. It did score it. 23.879. Going to be good enough for 10th quick. Quentin Clark and Mike Larch also out on the racetrack. AJ Digby able to use some strategy to his advantage last week, and we saw it also towards the end of the season as lap number 2 for Johnny Avila is quick time, 23.279 seconds, 69 thousandths. Nice lap, Johnny Avila, putting himself up to the top of the board. Let's pick up the 42 of Quentin Clark. He is working his second lap, as is the 2 of Mike Larch. Richard Fletcher in the 43, also out on the racetrack. Quentin Clark moves up to position number 8, immediately supplanted by Mike Larch into position 8. Larch's lap time, 23.455, 23.476 for Quentin Clark. Pick up the number 43. The Horizon Ford Mustang of Richard Fletcher. See what Fletch can do here on lap number 1. Well, actually, he's now working at lap number 1. Just completing the outlap. Car looks good off of number 2. And James, going back to that strategy discussion that we were having, the stops don't line up with the stage as well. But you could possibly go 100 laps on a tank of fuel. Possibly even longer than that, depending on how much off-throttle time you have. Oh, Fletch! Oh, he bangs it off the inside wall, hits the outside wall, drills the inside wall again. Oh, my goodness. Used up that number 43. That will be the end of the qualifying run for Fletch, as he will hit pit lane. And he will start no better than 13th here tonight. Still waiting for Adam Benefiel and Douglas Vaisaki to get out onto the racetrack. But basically, I guess what I'm getting at is it's kind of feels like we're going to be limited from a tire perspective where we're going to see the stops. And in those kinds of races, you have to think guys like Tyler Seville, AJ Digby, 77 of Andrew Moore Jr. is another great one at saving tires. Those guys might be the ones who are the big winners here.
Yeah, it's usually those guys that are already at the pointy end of the field are always good at saving tires. That's the crazy thing, is that they're really quick, but they're also easy on their stuff. They're going faster than everyone while still using less tire. And for people that aren't quite at that level, it's always one of the most frustrating things is that how are you able to do that? That is just unreal. And usually yelling about grip hacks or something.
That is correct. That's usually me doing the yelling about the grip hacks. Arguing about, well, quite frankly, anything that we can possibly argue about. But let's pick up the front end of the field and show you tonight's starting grid here at Dover. Starting on the pole in the Zeem Speed Shops, TeamZSS.com, number 63 Chevrolet Camaro, will be the newlywed Toronto, Ontario, Canada's Johnny Avila. Starting to the outside from the great state of West Virginia will be the Chubby's Hunter's Fried Pickles, number 11 of Tyler Seville. Starting on row number 2 will be the Woodfather Chevrolet Camaro belonging to Troy Haight. Lining up to his outside from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania will be the Weiss Markets number 77 Mustang of Andrew Moore Jr. Row number 3 will have Newburgh, Indiana's Hunter Waters in the Hunter's Fried Pickles, Law Chevrolet number 7. Lining up alongside of the Zeem Speed Shop, TeamZSS.com, number 24 of Braden Carroll. Carroll qualifying in the 6th position, but he will serve an EOL penalty here tonight, so he'll have to start this race from the back of the grid. Inside of row number 4 will be the Sim Coaches, number 45 of Andrew Mraz, lining up alongside the green Deuce Mellow Yellow Ford Mustang of Mike Larch. Row number 5, the 42 Mach 5 design entry of Quentin Clark, lining up alongside the JW Racing number 8 of Justin Rideout. Row number 6, the Superior templating number 5 of Roger Rios, alongside of the Clemens Farms Breast Cancer Awareness number 12 of Garrett Johnston. Row 7, Horizon Hobby 43 of Richard Fletcher, and the P1 Battery number 19 of Tom Wilhite. Row 8, the Red Bull 25 of Larry Bruner, alongside the Apex 23 of Richard Smith II. AJ Digby and Doug Vaisaki on row number 9, and all alone on row number 10 will be the Brandt number 9, colors belonging to Adam Benefield. Pace car is getting pulled in. We are getting ready to go for 150 laps here at the Dover Motor Speedway. Field through the restart zone. Green flag in the air. We are underway. Great jump for Johnny Avila. Little bit of a bobble there for the 28. That car did not get going off the line. He's going to have Andrew Moore Jr. looking to his outside. Hunter Waters lurking right behind. Show some real power there through 3 and 4 as Moore slides up the racetrack. That's going to be a 2-for-1 blue light special. Waters almost bends it up into the outside safer barrier exiting turn number 2. Excuse me, turn 4. He's able to hold on to the position. Now Quentin Clark going to get to the inside. James, we're seeing it early here. You have just got to get down to that inside lane. The top side may not be where you want to go tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you can reasonably run there and be quick-ish, but like we all know, the way iRacing works, it damages your tires more the higher you press on the track. And you really don't want to be out on the outside line longer than you need to, because you're adding all that extra wear to your tires that you already can't afford. Like, already you can just hear the rubber screaming in pain, and we're only 4 laps in.
Yeah, Bizzle asking if Miles is under. We're going to find out. These drivers were during the practice session about how loose the setup was. Sometimes, though, James, that can kind of work to your advantage if the car tightens up over the run. If it starts loose and gets looser, it could be a long night for everybody.
Yeah, typically that's not usually an issue with me from a completely personal standpoint. I tend to gravitate to the looser setups and feel more comfortable with that. And I typically burn the right front off even on loose setups as it is. So, but for the average driver, yeah, you start to get loose and it just snowballs, especially with this car. The more throttle you put in it, even if you're being as easy on the throttle as you can, it just builds and builds and builds till you finally just feel the rear kick out no matter what you do. And it's usually a death sentence in this car.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Andrew Moore Jr. falling back to the mid part of the pack. Also Tyler Seville falling back a little bit here as well. If I'm watching a guy like Seville start to fall back, my brain just as an opponent has to say, I have to run a comparable lap time to him, because if he's that good at saving tires, I want to be where he is the later we get into the run.
Yeah, you're just looking at him like what is he planning? And you try to copy it as you can. And usually that works out well. Usually.
Allegedly. Justin Rideout and Tyler Seville side by side over the line. That's going to be the battle for the 5th position. Clark, Andrew Mraz, Troy Hayden, your top 4. They are all single file and being very well behaved. Interesting that we're seeing some of these guys run that high lane. Is that something you can do to save tires a little bit? Just kind of not have to use as much brake in the corner? You just kind of almost like just arc it off and just let the car roll?
Well, see, in real life, that's what you would do. That's why you always see a lot of the guys in NASCAR run up high, but it doesn't work like that on the sim. You know, I believe it has to do with the amount of steering input you're putting in. And even if you're not putting in as much throttle, you're still putting more heat in the tire running up high. So if you're really concerned about saving tires, you're going to be running down towards the bottom. Typically what I do is I always ease it in there, like off throttle fairly early, really tight, concise steering inputs, just easing it into the corner, trail braking, and then waiting to get on the throttle, using as little input as I possibly can get away with. And it's been successful for me, at any rate, doing things that way.
Well, let's go on board here with Tyler Seville. See what he's doing in terms of throttle application. There you see it, James. I mean, just barely breathing the throttle at the midpoint of the corner and really getting back to full throttle pretty late in the quarter as well.
Yeah, look at all that coast. Just a little bit of trail braking to get it in. Very little throttle. Well, that is what you need to do to save tire at a place like this.
And an interesting dynamic might be to keep an eye here on the race leader, Johnny Avila. He has Quentin Clark all over the back bumper of that machine. In fact, I think we're about to see a pass for the lead here as Clark makes the dive off into turn number 1. He'll get the pass completed easily. So we'll have a new race leader. Oh, but a big slide for Quentin Clark. What a save. You don't get away with that.
It's gonna be a rough next few laps for him, though. Those rear tires are livid. They are not happy with what he put them through.
Well, maybe got into a little bit into the bumper of Johnny Avila on the exit of 4. But take a look, see what happens here. See if Avila kind of gave him a little bit back. Yeah, no, that car just started to step out on its own. But what a save by Quentin Clark. You don't do that at Dover.
No.
You mentioned the issues, though. Quentin Clark now all the way back to the 4th position. And already more than halfway through stage number 1 as we are now working lap number 18 of 30 here in the stage. Oh, whoa. Big bobble for Andrew Mraz at the midpoint of the corner. There was some discussion earlier about if you got a caution at about lap 20, would you come down and take tires? And early in the race, it was absolutely not. But if you were able to save a set, there was some discussion that you could quite literally go from the back of the field to the front of the field in just 20 laps because you have fresh tires.
Yeah, it goes back to what I touched on earlier. It's like, you think of this place, like restarting in the back with fresher tires, you'd be like, there's no way you could do that. You have to pass so many cars. It's not easy to pass here. But as I said, with everyone else having used tires, they can't really defend as well. Like, you can try to run the outside, you can try to hold position, but because you're having to be so much lower with no front or rear grip, the car with the fresher tires can just buzz right on by with no effort. And so it takes away a lot of the issues that you would find yourself in starting from the back of the pack. Now, with that said, you are still going to have some time on your side. Like, you can't restart dead last 5 to go and drive up to the win, but like 20, 15 to go, not impossible.
I think it's going to be really interesting to watch how that develops the later in this race we get and where any potential cautions fly. The only guaranteed one we're going to have is at lap number 70 for the stage break at the end of stage number 2. as it stands right now, we're almost, we're only about 15 laps or so away from the pit window opening if you're going to make this a 3-stop race and use all 3 sets of tires that you have in the box. If you're going to try to go to 50, now you're going to really be pretty heavily in conservation mode. And quite frankly, I think it's going to be a really just fascinating dynamic to watch. Who elects to make it 3 short stints versus who wants to save a set for late in the race.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what these guys are gonna come up with for strategy. I'd say we're probably gonna see a lot of it be pretty clear after the lap 30 stage break.
Yeah, at this point, slide back through the field a little bit. There's AJ Digby and Andrew Mraz. Just up ahead is Hunter Waters, who currently runs in the 10th position. Points will pay out back to 10th. Oh, we've got Andrew Mraz on pit lane. The first of the stoppers, but he hit something hard, it looks like. Let's take a look here. See if we can get a peek at that 45. He is right out by the outside wall. Kind of looked like there was some damage on the back end of that race car. Yeah, you can see the back right corner. Looks like there may be some unintended modifications to that car, and he's not even going for tires. He is going straight to the repair job. Tough break for Andrew Mraz. Likely to be the winner tonight of the Most Positions Lost Award, presented by, I believe it is Realty Executive Saskatoon. Actually, got to pull up and make sure we thank all of the sponsors for this series here. Got to say a big thank you to Real Assist and Mint Mortgage for coming on board as sponsors for the season. Realty Executive Saskatoon, sponsors of the Most Laps Led, Hard Charger, and Most Positions Lost charges. Prizes. Oh my goodness. Justin Rideout is currently your Hard Charger. He is up 7, running in the 3rd position. Your biggest loser on the night, Andrew Mraz, spending 41.4 seconds on pit lane. He is down 11 from where he started the race tonight. Most laps led. Going to go to that 63 machine out front, Johnny Avila, having led all 29 laps. He will come around through turns 3 and 4 and see the green and white checkered flag, and Johnny Avila is going to pick up the win here in Northland Leisure Stage number 1. Thank you very much to Northland Leisure for being the sponsor of the stage breaks. Custom Paints and Diecast, seasonal and grand championship sponsor, as well as the title sponsor of the SimSpeedShop.com Premier Series. Sim Speed Shop putting up prizes for all of the seasons, both the individual seasons and the grand championship prize. Also safe driver bonuses as well. Johnny Avila picking up his first stage win of the season. Obviously not participating 1 week ago because he was off getting married. Saw some of the pictures on the socials. Absolutely beautiful bride and groom. Nice ceremony. Congratulations to Johnny again and his new bride. Pick up Doug Vaisaki, having to contend with Richard Smith II. Maybe a little bit of a shove there down into turn number 1. Also going to have Adam Benefield right behind. This is 13th, 14th, and 15th on the racetrack. Roger Rios also on pit lane. For extended stop for Roger Rios. He's over 1 minute and 10 seconds on pit lane. Miles is getting hungry. What's interesting about it, though, James, is the fact that it's not causing a caution.
No, just a little single car slap to the wall. Like they're doing a great job of mitigating the damage as well as you're going to. Oh,
that
yeah.
was not a little slap on the wall.
No.
That was a tank slapper that he absolutely drilled the outside fence.
It's amazing he was able to get that down to pit road.
Yeah, that was impressive. That's 2 great saves here tonight. Pick up, let's see, Andrew Moore Jr., Mike Larch, and Hunter Waters. That is going to be 8th, 9th, and 10th on the Speedway. Garrett Johnston just ahead in 7th. Tyler Seville holding on to 6th. So the pit window is open if you want to make this a restart race. We are now working lap number 37. We'll see if we get any takers. I think part of the issue, though, James, is if you're going to commit to that strategy, you're kind of committing yourself to losing laps. This is a very long pit lane at 35 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's why I'd say go for the conservation strat right from the beginning, because like it's a long pit lane. It's a slow pit lane, like 35 mile an hour speed limit, and this is arguably the hardest pit lane entry in all of NASCAR. It's very easy to get wrong and lose time. So if you can nurse the car to make it that long final stint after the main caution, then that might be the race winning strategy, because of all the time you lose from a green flag pit stop and having to drive balls to the wall trying to get all that back. You're gonna burn your tires off in the process, obviously, and you might not make as much progress as you would hope.
Well, keeping our eye here on Tyler Seville and Braden Carroll. Seville getting back around the 24. The 6, well, where he qualified in the 6th position, but doesn't tell the whole story of that 24 machine here tonight, because he had to drive his way up through the field and may have burnt the tires off in the process. Now the theory says if you can go the 70 laps, could you possibly go to 80 for the second half of the race, basically, and try to make this a one-stopper? I don't know if that's going to be worth it, even if you have to sacrifice the time of going down pit lane. You're making up so much time. I mean, the 5-lap average for race leader Johnny Avila is a 24.803. His best lap is a 23.8. They're a full second off the pace from where they were. You're going to make up a lot of time. Oh, as Hunter Waters smacks the wall off at 2.
Man, another single car incident.
Take a look, bring up the instant replay here. See Hunter Waters up on the outside of Andrew Moore Jr. off of turn number 2.
Oh, Neko.
Yeah. Roger Rios finally getting back out onto the racetrack. 5 minutes and 20 seconds he spent on pit lane, a full 14 laps now behind the race leader. Clark and Tyler Seville battling for the 4th position. You can also see 6 through 10 basically straight behind these guys. Whoa, hold on to it, Garrett. Garrett Johnston, what a save off of turn number 4. Andrew Mraz looks like he may be back on pit lane. could spell the end of the night for the 16.
Yeah. 23 has also been on pit road for a while as well.
Yeah, 2 minutes, 45 seconds and counting for Richard Smith second on pit lane. Got to thank everybody that's tuned in here on YouTube tonight. We appreciate you coming to hang out with us. Get the comments, the shouts, the likes, all that kind of stuff done. Make sure we get a chance to screw with YouTube's algorithm a little bit. AJ Digby now coming around Brady Carroll. It's going to put the 24 machine back to 10. It's only about a second and 3/4 there between Carroll and Hunter Waters.
Yeah, the fact that Waters is still going as fast as he is, even with that hard contact off the turn 2 wall, is impressive and pretty lucky for him. Because, like, we've seen the amount of wall contact that have befallen Matias and Mraz that have them down a lot of laps. So he really dodged a bullet there.
Yeah, Hunter's 5-lap average is a 25.3. Race leader's a 24.9. You're only about 4/10 off the pace. I mean, you don't necessarily want to say that you're there, but you're close enough for on outright pace here, especially with the damage. Jordan Barry checking in saying the car looks on edge tonight. That's kind of an understatement, I think. These cars are having a handful at this point. Seeing Andrew Moore Jr. making up a bunch of time here on Garrett Johnston. That'll be for the 6th position. Johnny Avila out to a nearly 3-second lead over Troy Haight. And then it's another basically 2 full seconds back to Justin Rideout in the 3rd position. Oh, let's take a look here. Braden Carroll looks like he is off the racetrack and out of the race.
Wow.
Braden Carroll just disappearing out of the 10th position. Tough break there from Carroll. One of the most dominating performances we have ever seen here on the NRN airwaves 1 week ago. Jordan Barry checking in again saying, sometimes produces clear racing though. We have had a couple tough ovals, so it's nice to see some green flag runs like old times. That is something that this league is known for. The incredibly long green flag runs. Sometimes you'll get a little bit of crazy long green flag run, then you get one yellow towards the end of the race, and then it's just cautions breed cautions. Sometimes that script will be flipped and you'll see a bunch of yellows early and then you get the crazy long green flag run to the end. We'll have to see how that shakes out. America's Worst Crew Chief is not in the booth with me tonight, so we won't be analyzing any of the trends or making any incorrect strategy calls for that matter. Seeing Tyler Seville start to close in on Justin Rideout.
He's looking. That's a nice move.
Yeah, that's pretty. When it works like that, nice and clean on corner entry, it is fun to watch.
Yeah, it's just one of those, all right, you have it. There's no need to fight.
Yeah, I'm not going to squeeze you whatsoever because there's just no reason to.
And, you know, you get a lot of passes like that here. You know, it's one of those give and take tracks like Darlington where you can fight, it just might not work out well for either party. Like, with the way the cars flip up on corner exit here, coming up the banking, it's so easy to just have it slide up a lot more than you're expecting. And as you can imagine, that usually doesn't work out well for either party.
Yeah, that's a great point. This is one of those racetracks that you kind of dive off into the corner and it really kind of spits you out on corner exit. It's not so much like you drive up onto the banking like you do at a Charlotte or a Daytona or Talladega. This is more like they dumped the banking out and poured the racetrack into the hole that they dug instead of building the banking up. And it does make a difference in how you have to drive the race car.
Yeah, like it messes up your line on your exit. Like you're used to kind of letting the steering out kind of early and tracking up by the wall, but because of how it spits you up, it will spit you out directly into the safety barrier. So you have to take a much shallower exit off, a lot more so than you're typically do, for it to spit you right back up to the wall. So it's a lot more unique driving style that you typically don't have to deal with in the other tracks that you get on schedule on a typical season.
Seeing the comment coming in from Jordan Barry, who is in race control tonight, we are speculating some hardware or connection issues with the 24. Was driving down the straight and just dipped out. Yeah, I would tend to think that's a pretty major hardware failure of some sort. Pick up Troy Haight and Tyler Seville as we are back up to lap number 63. Johnny Avila has led all 63 of those laps in his number 63 machine. Just a handful remaining now, down to the end of stage number 2 with the first planned caution of the night. Tyler Seville thinking about the look into turn number 3. We'll see if he makes the move. He does. Haight has to run that higher lane, and well, no mas. Seeing Larry Bruner on the pit lane now in the 25. Oh man, they are scattering back in the field a little bit here. Everybody able to keep it in line.
Bruner was on pit road earlier. I noticed that when Mraz came in to fix his initial issue, Bruner was already down a couple laps.
Yeah, looking, well, he's down a couple of laps, but I'm only seeing one visit to pit lane thus far in the race for Bruner. But either way, not the way you want your night to go. Braden Carroll looks like maybe back in the sim, it looks like. No, maybe not. And he will very shortly fall back to the 19th position. Here is your race leader, Johnny Avila, a 6.5 second advantage over Tyler Seville. That 63 machine has been absolutely on rails here tonight. We talked about the dominating performance that we just don't see. James, I'm going to throw a name at you here that you'll remember. It was a Greg Seitz type performance by Braden Carroll last week. 2 cars finished on the lead lap at the Charlotte Roval. It was incredible, the outright pace he showed all night long. We're kind of seeing the same thing here out of Johnny Avila. Tyler Seville is making up a little bit of ground, but if you look at the 5-lap average, Avila's quicker. In fact, they are nearly identical. 5, 10, and 15 lap averages for Johnny Avila. Every one of them is a 24.96. For Tyler Seville, all 25 flats.
Yeah, that's high praise if we're comparing him to Greg Seitz, because that man used to put a hurt on the Indy Road 2000 field. So if you're putting up a performance like that,
caution is out.
Hey,
Yellow flag on the speedway. Looks like trouble for Justin Rideout.
Wow, right at the time for the stage caution.
Right at the stage break. Stage number 2 is over. Johnny Avila will pick up his second Northland Leisure stage win of the evening. And we are under caution. And it looks like it's going to be an issue for Justin Rideout in car number 8. Take a look and see what happened to Rideout. Oh, he got some help from Andrew Moore Jr. Little bit of a squeeze. Oh, Garrett Johnston got a piece of that too. Tough break there. Wow, that was a big hit. Now, as we go back to the live look, we'll see who's going to elect to stay out on the racetrack. Johnny Avila making his way down pit lane. Looks like Justin Rideout staying out on the racetrack. Tyler Seville's in, Troy Haight is in, Mike Larch, Andrew Moore Jr., Quentin Clark, who already done their work on the right-hand side for Johnny Avila, heading around to the left. For Fresh Goodyear Racing Eagles, Toucan Sunoco Fuel, Johnny Avila down and away. Good stop for that crew, 15 flat, 14.9 for Tyler Seville. Quentin Clark with a 14.7 second stop.
You have to imagine Rideout's just staying out to lead a lap. Otherwise, because staying out on 70 lap older tires, that would be a bold strategy.
With a now mangled race car too. Seeing some of the lap down cars come down pit lane, and Rideout's going to stay out there on the racetrack. It's a gutsy call. Richard Smith II staying out onto the speedway as well. But I believe Smith is 13 laps down to the race leader. So I would imagine he will take the wave around. Does only have 20 laps on his tires as well, so came down for a damage repair, 4 minutes 58 seconds he was on pit lane. Gutsy call by Justin Rideout here. And we should get the one to go signal next time by. Off of pit lane, it's going to be Johnny Avila, Tyler Seville, Quentin Clark, Troy Haight, Mike Larch, Andrew Moore Jr. Moore followed off the pit lane by A.J. Digby, Tom Wilhite. Hunter Waters on pit lane now, as is Garrett Johnston and Adam Benefiel. Looks like we're down to 12 cars remaining on the lead lap. Actually, possibly 11 now, with Benefiel falling a lap down. 22-second stop for Hunter Waters. Field does get the one to go signal, and they will double up for the restart. Johnny Avila will be inside of the race leader, Justin Rideout. So control car will be on the outside. Row number 2 will have Tyler Seville and Quentin Clark. Row 3, Troy Haight and Mike Larch. Row number 4 will be Andrew Moore Jr. and A.J. Digby. Row 5 will have Tom Wilhite on the inside. And I'm not sure who that is lining up to his outside. Looks like that's Doug Wysocki. But Wysocki is the first car one lap down. He will be in the 13th position.
If I was one of the cars restarting in the outside line, I would be very nervous right now. This could go very poorly, very quickly.
Well, we're about to find out. Field making their way through turn number 4 into the restart zone. Green flag goes here. Oh,
there it
is! In the wall. Right out, spins the tires off at turn number 4. Everybody else left a pretty sizable gap. Johnny Avila able to grab the race lead. Oh, they're 3 wide, just back behind. AJ Digby going to be right in the middle of that hornet's nest. Large going to have to quickly get down to the bottom of the racetrack to get around Justin Rideout. He will do so. We'll keep our eye on that number 8 machine, trying to make this work on 75 tires. The bigger issue is he's got.
Yeah, what exactly is a full fuel run?
Right about 100 laps is what we were hearing. Possibly a little bit more.
I'm just trying to figure out the end game. The only thing I can think of is... yeah, the only thing I can think of is that you stay out, lead a couple laps, hope you get a caution in like another 5 laps or so, and have like a little baby undercut, if you will, having a little bit of advantage on the tire. But if you wait and get a caution at like lap 100, more likely you're going to have the rest of the field come down with you. So
right.
You have a very small window of this strategy working, which I guess makes sense given that he has a damaged car from the incident at the end of the second stage. Like, it would make sense to try to Hail Mary move such as this, but yeah, it's
the problem is he's already 6.5 seconds back of the race leader and losing time quickly. When you're turning 24-second laps, he's already a quarter of the racetrack down, and now it's up to 7.5 seconds. Justin Rideout is going to have to hit pit lane and quickly. Everybody playing nice, at least thus far off the restart. Troy Haight was closing in ever so slightly there on Tyler Seville through 3 and 4, but Seville able to open the gap back over about 2 car lengths off the 2. Andrew thinking about the look inside the 3. Not quite there for more just yet. Seeing the lap car of Roger Rios just ahead of Garrett Johnston. I hate to say this is where you settle in, but this is sort of where the race is really getting started, James, because yes, you've already run now 83 laps, but you're just past the halfway point, and there is no guarantee of a caution from here on out. If you're one of these guys who stopped, you're now in that ballpark of, I have to make these tires last all the way to the end.
Yeah, because given the fact that we went the entire 70 laps with pretty much the entire field staying on those set of tires, it's clear that we're not, I don't know, we may get 1 or 2 that may try the tire strategy, but again, I just don't think it's going to work, especially since the pace drop off wasn't as extreme as expected. So now it's a tire conservation fight. Who can save the best?
Yeah, seeing the word from race control that was considered a shared caution, no EOL penalties on that one. As these guys coming around the 25. Oh, Braden Carroll on the racetrack here tonight. So tough luck for Braden Carroll. He will be the winner of recipient of, you're not really winning that one, but the most positions lost prize on tonight, falling 13 positions. Taking a look at the last positions gained award, your hard charger thus far, AJ Digby in the 14 AJ machine. He is up 10. Currently running in the 7th position. Adam Benefield having a pretty nice run here in number 9. Started towards the back of the field. He is up 9. Qualified, in fact, did not turn a lap in qualifying. So Benefield would be ineligible. Hard Charger award. Quentin Clark, Doug Wysocki, and Garrett Johnston, the rest of the top 5 now in your most positions gained. That award presented by Realty Executive, Realty Executive Saskatoon, putting up the cash award for Hard Charger, most positions lost, and most laps led. That one right now belongs to Johnny Avila, who leads exactly 75 laps to this point. So he's led half of the circuits. Actually, he will be the recipient because Justin Rideout led 2 laps under caution. That means your race leader, Quentin Clark, cannot catch Johnny Avila. So already your most laps led award going out the door here this evening. Coming up 1 week from tonight for the Sim Racers Club, they will head off to the Daytona International Speedway. Starting the season off with a Roval, Dover, Super Speedway, and then they get their first week off before they come back for a 3-week stretch that includes Bristol, Kansas, and Darlington in the month of October. That is going to be a great month of racing here for the Sim Racers Club, but still have to get through next week at Daytona, and quite frankly, still have to get through 59 more laps to go at Dover, as we see a little bit of a break from Troy Hayt.
Yeah, that's starting the season off with a gauntlet right there, that opening stretch.
Oh yeah, that's fun. I love the schedule that Sam and Jordan and the whole team at the Sim Racers Club have put together. Unique challenges for the drivers every week. And that's especially true when you're talking about a fixed setup league, because it's not like you can go, head over to Team Racing setups and pick something up for the week and just know you're going to be fast. You got to put some laps in and practice with that, with whatever setup they're going to give you for the week.
Yeah, and that's the thing about fixed setup races, is that it's not always necessarily a true mark, a true way to see someone's skill. The setup might be designed to do different things. It might favor one driving style to the next. A person that does well with a tight setup may not like a setup that we're seeing out here right now. A person that likes a loose car may not like a tight and stable setup. It's not necessarily the best driver, it's just to kind of adapt a little better, if that makes any sort of sense.
Yeah, I think that actually, it's a counter argument to your point, but it's making your point. The best drivers are the one that can take anything given to them and run quickly with it. So you think of a guy like a Kyle Busch, a guy who can take a 5th place car and win a race with it, or take a 15th place car and get a top 10 or a top 5 out of it. That's really what a fixed setup showcases to me, is I don't like how this car drives, I can still get it to the front. That's what really makes it impressive, what we've seen out of Johnny Avila historically and Kevin Dick the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, but it doesn't necessarily, because they may not be able to get that particular set going, it doesn't mean that they're necessarily a bad driver. It just means that it's basically the difference between a great driver and a good driver. A good driver can be fast in something that suits their particular driving style, where a great driver can, as you said, can do anything with whatever they're given.
Oh my! How was that not a wreck?
That should have been a heck of a lot worse.
What a save by Adam Benefield and Hunter Waters for that matter. But both of those cars now losing a bunch of time to the cars up ahead. What's interesting though is this right now is by far the closest battle on the racetrack. Hunter Waters, Adam Benefield, and Tom Wilhite. Those three cars in the screen, and they're all 5-6 car lengths separated from each other. We look at the front of the field, Quentin Clark, almost 9/10 of a second up on Andrew Moore Jr. You barely see Moore peeking into the shot. And what really has surprised me about this race, James, is we went into it, ordinarily these guys get 2 sets of tires in the box. Race control gave them 3 for the lead, figuring there would be some cautions, time for some strategies to play out. Instead, we have gotten the exact opposite, knocking on wood here. Outside of the stage brake caution, we have been caution-free. Yes, the stage brake did have an incident attached to it, but it came as the leader was in turns 3 and 4. So we basically got through to the end of stage number 2. These drivers could end up leaving here with 2 sets of tires left in the box.
And honestly, it's not too surprising when you get a field like this that has a lot of talented, experienced guys at a track that needs focus, skill, and tire and, well, not fuel conservation for this race, but any sort of conservation. It's not surprising to see a race like this play out as we see, where you're focused more on taking care of your stuff and racing the racetrack more than racing the other cars. That's why you tend to see the average race at Darlington be a lot of green flags for the most part. Alright, you're more focused on racing the track than other cars, so you're not pushing it hard, and there's less room for mistakes, not a whole lot of hard racing for the most part, so you get a lot of spread out single file racing like this, which is honestly refreshing to see.
Yeah, let's take a look here and go through the field. Quentin Clark, your race leader, up 8 positions after qualifying in 9th. He has led 28 laps after taking the lead from Johnny Avila. Just a handful of laps here into stage number 3. That car has been very quick all night, shown a lot of outright pace. And Quentin Clark getting the job done here as it stands right now at the head of the field. Running in the 2nd position and closing in down to about 6/10 of a second is Andrew Moore Jr. using lap traffic to his benefit as they come around the 25 of Larry Bruner. Moore, qualifying on the outside of row number 2 here this evening, has kept that Weiss Markets number 77 towards the sharp end of the field throughout the evening. Running in the 3rd position, the Team ZSS.com number 63 of Johnny Avila. Your race high leader with 75 laps led, and he will claim that money courtesy of Realty Executive Saskatoon. Sitting currently about 2.5 seconds behind your race leader, Troy Haight not too much farther behind. The Woodfather number 28 entry qualifying in the 3rd position tonight after being the fastest car in the practice session, keeping that machine up towards the front of the field. And quite frankly, Troy looking forward to a pretty good finish here. Needs one after the race last week. Well, quite frankly, the second half of the summer season, it seemed like he had kind of the cartoon anvil hovering over his head. Running in the 5th position is Tyler Seville in the Chubbies number 11 Toyota Camry, the highest running of the Camrys here this evening. Quentin Clark in a Chevy, your race leader. Andrew Moore Jr. in a Ford Mustang running in the 2nd position. Seville down 3 from where he qualified on the outside of the front row here this evening. Running in the 6th position is the 2 of Michael Larch, that mellow yellow machine. Up 2 from where he qualified. started 8th, now running in the 6th position with lap times that are currently about 0.2 of a second faster than what your race leader is doing over the 5-lap average. The Clements Farms, I believe it is, number 15 of Garrett Johnston, carrying the pink breast cancer awareness ribbon and, quite frankly, a spectacular livery on his Chevrolet Camaro, making its way through turns 1 and 2. Johnston running in the 7th position, gain of 5 from where he started the race this evening. AJ Digby making his way through turns 3 and 4, currently running in the 8th position, has Hunter Waters and Tom Wilhite not too far behind. But Digby about 4 seconds back of where Garrett Johnston's running. Not really a surprise, though. Digby, one of the better guys on strategy. We'll see where that 14 AJ machine is towards the end of this race. The Hunter's Fried Pickles Law Chevrolet, number 7, Hunter Waters, running in the 9th position. A little bit of contact with the outside wall with Adam Benefiel. Has that car a little bit on the banged up side, but at this point still looking pretty darn good, keeping that machine just inside the top 10. He is down 4 from where he started this evening. Tom Wilhite, the P1 battery, number 19, picking up a couple of race sponsorships here in the fall season. We'll see those in just a few weeks. Wilhite having a very strong run inside the top 10 after qualifying in the 14th position and holding about a, we'll call it 5-second gap over Adam Benefiel. Benefiel currently running in position number 11. Benefiel going to be the final car on the lead lap in the Brandt number 9. First car 1 lap down will be the 34 of Doug Wysocki. He's up 6, starting in the 18th position, but again, one of those cars that did not set a lap in qualification, so he would be ineligible for the hard charger. Richard Fletcher running in position at number 13. Also just 1 lap down to the race leaders. Fletch started 13th and runs 13th as they stand right now. Just coming around him was the 8 of Justin Rideout, running in the 14th position. Rideout down 4 after starting in position number 10. The car looked pretty good, but heavy contact with the inside wall has that machine pretty banged up. It actually was the incident, I believe it was, that brought out the caution at the end of stage number 2. So there's a look through the field presented by Sim Speed Shop. Things are starting to heat up at the front. Quentin Clark, Andrew Moore, and Johnny Avila all now pretty much nose to tail. Only somebody else. And now, James, as we're down to 32 to go, you're kind of getting to that point where you're going to say, hey, it's time for us to start getting a move on here, especially if you're a guy like Johnny Avila. Almost to the point of saying saving time's over, now it's time to go win the race.
Yeah, now we're going to see who's left enough in their tank to really try to make a run for it. And we're going to see who was pushing a little too hard and maybe in store for a very unpleasant final 30 laps. Like, we're finally at the crossover point where it's like, all right, go time, goodbye.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how this shakes out, because I think we could
getting
be
an idea. Yeah,
I think we could be in for a pretty darn good finish to this one, especially if we get a caution flag in the next 10 laps or so. Because at that point, you'll be down to 20-ish laps to go. And you know that you're going to get about 20 really good laps out of the tires. That just makes it absolutely bonsai, foot to the floor for that last 20-lap run. As we saw Johnny Avila come around Quentin Clark, and now around Andrew Moore Jr., now he's going to work on the race leader. with lap traffic just up ahead.
Yeah, if we get that caution, all hell will break loose, and we are here for it.
Yes, that whole cautions breed cautions thing and lots of late race cautions we've talked about. Yeah, that could be a thing. As Avila looks inside of Clark into turn number 1. Clark put up a good fight on the outside of the racetrack. Man, it makes me so nervous when these guys exit, because all it takes is a little push or a little wiggle, and you're going to collect your top 3.
Yeah, and we saw Clark wiggle earlier in the race too.
Richard Fletcher up and out of the way into turn number 3. Nice move there by Fletch. I'm not totally sure I understand the comment, but this discipline to do what Johnny is doing is something I do not think most can do. I get it. Reading it out loud again. Yes, the being able to just sit there and be patient and patient and patient and run those consistent lap times. I mean, looking at the numbers, Quentin Clark's 5-lap averages, 25.081. 10-lap average, 25.017. 15-lap average, 24.982. Johnny Avila is just a tick quicker than that across all 3. But it's really impressive that these guys are running so consistent in their lap times. They're giving up thousandths a lap, which is turning into hundredths, turning into tenths. But it is really impressive to see these guys just be patient and not overdrive the race. That is such a hard thing to do.
Yeah, it just speaks to the talent level in the series. Like most other races you come across, you're going to have a lot of guys that are full send, no send, and then you see them right about now starting to get lapped after leading the race about 20 laps, right? So seeing who can spread their stuff the longest and who's the best at staying put and waiting for their time to strike, it's a lot more fun to watch than a lot of people would give credit for.
Yes, Jordan clarifying the comment, which we got it, but I think it must be hard to let the leaders go. That's such the hard thing to do. You just watch them run off into the sunset, and you just have to know, I'm going to catch them. They're going to come back to me. And you just have to sit there and wait and wait and wait, and then to know when the moment is right to go take off.
Yeah, because caveman brain, you get past and you see them pull away, and you're like, me got past, me pass back! But you have to go, no, they'll come back. This is good. You want them to pull away. You want them to run away, because you'll be the one chasing them down in the next 30 laps or so.
Well, yes, but it's like you talked about earlier, like that frustration when you go, I'm doing it right. I know I'm driving the car the way it needs to be driven. And I'm watching you pull away, and I'm not catching you late in the run. That's the hard part, is to have that confidence that you're going to be able to catch them later. My driving, and again, it's just because I don't do it enough, but that guy passes me, it's like, I have to keep up with him. When the reality is sometimes you don't. You just have to run your race. You're running against the racetrack, especially.
Yeah, like if you have to, again, be disciplined. You can't have the tunnel vision. You need to just pretend that car is not there. Focus on the black stuff in front of you, or rather, in this case, the kind of grayish stuff in front of you. Focus on that. That's the important thing. That's your competition. If you can conquer that, then, let the chips fall where they may. If you conquer that, 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to be conquering everyone else. Miles is the person you're battling, not Johnny Avila.
Well, we're watching this battle here between Mike Larch and Garrett Johnston for the 6th position. But don't look now. With 15 laps to go, Tyler Seville has started to catch Andrew Moore Jr. and Quentin Clark and race leader Johnny Avila. This could get interesting. Looking at the 5-lap averages for Avila, Clark, Moore, and Seville, Tyler Seville is 0.2 a lap faster over the 5-lap average. Outside of Johnny Avila, that he's only a 1/10.5 faster, he's 0.2 faster than Quentin Clark and Andrew Moore over the 10-lap averages as well.
Yeah, we might get a little bit of a race here in the closing laps.
Yeah, did Tyler Seville time this absolutely perfect? Richard Smith II pulling up and out of the way on the front straightaway. Johnny Avila's lead is only 1/3 of a second now, and it is closing back to Quentin Clark. Andrew Moore Jr. also gaining ground on the leader. If you needed a beverage, it's about time to get it and do it quickly, because we have 11 laps to go here at Dover. Tyler Seville has caught Andrew Moore Jr. as they come around Andrew Mraz in 3 and 4. And Quentin Clark is gaining on the race leader.
Yeah, it's interesting. Is Johnny doing a little extra save now that he's in the lead, or did he show his hand too early?
Oh,
whoa!
Wow! What a save by Moore and Seville! Oh my goodness! Let's take a look at this one on the instant replay. Oh my goodness. Moore was sideways off the corner. Seville has to take major evasive action. Oh, that was impressive by both of those guys. Now, the gap at the front has settled down. It's sitting right about 3 to 4/10 of a second between Johnny Avila and Quentin Clark. Tyler Seville able to come past Andrew Moore Jr. is out of Benefield. Gets it way loose off of 4 that time. Now these drivers are entering uncharted territory. This is where we had the caution last time at lap number 71. Could we see an incident from somebody finally overcooking the tires? And overtime is on the cards here in the Sim Racers Club.
I mean, we've already almost seen it like 10 times.
Yeah, that was
Definitely possible.
We have had some save of the year candidates. Johnny Avila opening the gap up on Quentin Clark. And in fact, Clark may have to deal with Tyler Seville before the end of this race. And it will be 5 laps to go. This time by the start-finish line. The Northeast Best Flagging Crew wiggles and giggles on the flag stand tonight. Hello, Warren and Nicole. Seville has caught Clark.
You know who's loving watching this? Johnny Avila.
Johnny Avila is. But he's got to be hoping that Quentin Clark can hold off his teammate for a little bit here, because if Seville's able to make this pass quickly, this race may not be over. It is currently sitting at about 9/10 of a second.
I don't know. Given watching the deltas, I didn't see a whole lot of time coming off of Johnny's overall lead. I really think that he's in danger of the 11 catching him.
No, and even the lap averages have really kind of snugged up to each other as well. The 5-lap average for Johnny Avila, 25.018, 24.962 for Tyler Seville. Not a whole lot of difference there. And with the lap car of Roger Rios in between, that may be the end of the effort here for Tyler Seville. But they're getting ready to come around and see that white silk at the start-finish line. It will be 1 lap to go here at Dover. Johnny Avila has led 101 laps here tonight. Can he lead for 1 more mile? Cleanly off of turn number 2. Down past the casino into 3 and 4 for the final time. That 63 machine looks on rails. Checkered flag in the air, and Johnny Avila wins at Dover. Tyler Seville and Quentin Clark will come across to round out your podium. Garrett Johnston, Mike Large, Andrew Moore, AJ Digby, Troy Haight, Hunter Waters, and Tom Wilhite will complete the top 10 here this evening. Only 10 cars finishing on the lead lap. But now the Will Worsler guys are going to come down and, well, they're going to do the thing. The entire team comes down and throws the party on the front straightaway. But it'll be kicked off by Johnny Avila, your race winner here this evening. A little disappointed in Hunter Waters not absolutely shooting Avila to the moon. So while they burn the place down, let's take a look at your race results in full. We told you your top 10: Avila, Seville, Clark, Johnston, Larch, Moore, Digby, Haight, Waters, and Wilhite. Second page of the leaderboard will be Adam Benefield finishing 1 lap down in 11th position. Also Doug Wysocki 1 lap down in 12th. 2 laps behind the race leader, the 43 of Richard Fletcher in the 13th position. Justin Rideout finishing 5 laps behind the leaders in 14th. Roger Rios coming home 15 laps down in the 15th position, 16 laps down in 16th, the 45 of Andrew Mraz. Richard Smith, Larry Bruner, and Braden Carroll all 19 or more laps down. Tough break for Braden Carroll as that 24 machine had some kind of an issue, which saw him basically just duck out of the field right kind of down the straightaway, which is quite frankly a little bit odd. But we'll get ready for our Victory Lane interviews here tonight. Let's see, we'll bring there we go. Let's bring in our 3rd place finisher here this evening, Mr. Quentin Clark. And man, I'll tell you what, brother, that was a heck of a show you put on there throughout the race, but especially in that second half. The car looked great. Talk us through a little bit about your night and how things looked from your driver's seat.
Oh, man, you better believe I'm sweating. Well, I knew everybody was pacing themselves at the beginning, and I just feel like, pace or not, in these cars, it's such a track position race. I just wanted to push a little harder to see what I could get and see how well I could maintain in the first half, and stayed in the top 5. Definitely wasn't as fast as the top 3 towards the latter half, but kind of learned how to burn up my right rear a little less and try again from a couple spots higher than starting 9th, and see where it took me in the second half. But man, Johnny Avila is tough to beat. I feel like this is one of the only tracks that I really have it in me to win. Well, I don't want to say that. This is one of my favorite tracks, so this is one of the ones that I really feel confident about being able to beat some of these guys. And man, we were close. That was fun.
Yeah, well, there's a lot to be said for that, having that confidence, going to a place that you like to go, especially in a fixed setup league where you don't necessarily have as much control over how the car is going to feel. How big of a confidence boost is that?
I feel like I broke a bad luck streak. I feel like my finishes really haven't shown what I'm capable of. Really, the last 5 to 10 races, I mean, we were top three, third or fourth, most of the first half of the Roval, and smacked the wall and finished ninth. And I feel like I just get collected in something towards the end, and a lot of it's my own fault and avoidance, but just all half that and half bad luck. And so I'm hoping this breaks that bad luck streak. It's nice to be back in the booth talking to y'all. I feel like it's just been too long.
Yes, it has, and you got to be feeling pretty confident now because this is a good points night, especially with Kevin having 2 weeks in a row that he hasn't been here. This is going to count as a 0 for the season for him. Even if you're talking top 5s, top 10s in points, this is a big night to get up on a podium at a place like Dover.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I'm pumped, and I just love this track. So just relieved we were able to maintain there at the end, and had a little bit for Johnny, but not as much as I wanted.
Well, congratulations on the podium finish here tonight. And before we let you go, make sure you do all the big sponsor plugs and thank yous here as well.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man. Big thanks to, first and foremost, my teammates, especially Andrew Mraz and Roger, coming in here and racing with me. And this is a lot of fun. We had Andrew Moore Jr. Chatting with us a little bit as well, and nice to get to know him a little bit better. And since his teammate hasn't been able to make a few races, so hope that works out for them. If not, it's nice to have a buddy. And big shout out to Mach 5 Design for putting on a nice, sexy red and purple stripe. Get those day glow colors on there on the car. And big thanks to Sim Coaches, Wolf Felt on Spotify, Bon Fire on Spotify, and everybody who's watching and has gotten me to this point. Thank y'all.
All right, brother. Well, thank you much. We appreciate you coming to hang out with us here. And now let's bring up Tyler Seville, our runner-up finisher here tonight. Tyler, it looked like that car, you had done almost the perfect amount of saving. I would imagine in hindsight you probably want to start the charge a handful of laps earlier, but man alive, did that number 11 just really come to life with about 20 to go.
Oh, yeah, that's right. When I started pushing it, I thought maybe I could have caught Johnny, but I was like, the man just got married there the other week. Let's give him an additional wedding present there and let him take the checker flag.
Oh, that's awesome. You just got to throw a bone to the guy like, yeah, here, it's yours. You can gnaw on this for a little while. Man,
yeah, exactly.
It seemed like throughout the race, we were talking about how tire saving was going to be important, but with the track conditions the way they were, I mean, we were over 122 degrees for the vast majority of this race. That had to be really, really difficult to pull off behind the wheel.
Oh, yeah, it's just setting marks, entering and exiting the corner, making sure you hit those lap after lap, especially when people are going by you. When you're trying to save, it's real easy to overdrive. But over the years, I've gotten really good at just maintaining my pace, just knowing that in 15, 20 laps, they're going to start coming back to me. And that's exactly what they did today. Like you said earlier, the only thing I needed to do better was manage my gap to Johnny there at the end. And maybe if I'd have done that a little better, it could have at least been a battle for the lead.
Well, I tell you what, it was a fantastic show you guys put on. You and Johnny starting up front, finishing up front. That's a big night for the Will Worsler Racing team, especially when you have AJ and Hunter finishing inside the top 10. Not a bad run for Fletch either. You guys have got to be pretty pumped here now because with Kevin having a 0 officially on the scorecard for this season, you guys could already have a bit of an advantage heading in towards as we start thinking championship.
Oh yeah. Hopefully we can just continue to perform down the stretch. I think next week is Daytona, so definitely looking forward to that. Teamwork makes the dream work there. So hopefully we'll get a little bit more than a 1-2 finish next week.
All right, buddy. Well, congratulations on the podium. And before we let you go here, make sure you do all the big sponsor plugs and thank yous.
Yeah, shout out to my sponsor Chubbies. Shout out to Whistler Racing. Johnny, congrats on the win. Hunter, Richard, and AJ, good runs. We're missing Will tonight. Hopefully he will be back next week. And shout out to you guys for putting on the broadcast.
All right, brother. Well, thank you much. We appreciate you coming to hang out with us. And now we'll talk to the man of the hour. First and foremost, congratulations, sir. You got yourself married. I can't believe you found a woman that wants to spend forever with you, but congratulations on that, Johnny. And, well, here, I guess it helps if I unmute you. There we go. Now we can hear you. Yeah, but let's talk about the race tonight because that car was as good as we've seen. That kind of went almost throwback to the Johnny Avila days of old where you would really go out and dominate these races. Talk us through your night a little bit because that 63 machine looked hooked up from the go.
Well, it wasn't quite like me of old because I didn't spin out before any of the stages this time, so I'm getting a little rusty.
That's true.
But the car felt good. In practice, when I tried pushing it, the thing was just so evil, and like I think I spent more time crashing in practice than actually racing. So as soon as I got the green flag, I was like, I'm just gonna chill. I babied it into the corner, out of the corner, and just took my time. And then that second run, when I was trying to catch Quinn and Andrew, I think I got a little impatient and I started using the throttle a little bit more. I cooked my tires, and luckily I still had enough to get around them and hold off Tyler, because you know how Tyler is. He freaking saves enough tires for like 3 races.
Well, yeah, he said he threw you a little bit of a bone. He gave you an extra wedding present and decided to start the run a little bit too late. It has to be a difficult thing, though, to know, because you can see it on the relative. He's coming. He's past this guy. He's past this guy. Now you're going, oh, crap. Now he's behind me.
Yeah. It's as soon as you get past 30, 40 laps and Tyler's within a second, you know it's danger. So I was just trying to hang on. I swear, a couple of times I had my wheel 90 degrees to the right coming out of the corner. I'm like, ah. But it was a good race. And you know what? Even at one point, my wife ended up feeding me a sandwich. She just came over with some bread and she's like, here. And I took a bite while I'm trying to race.
Oh, young love. Mine would just tell me to go away.
She also got me a new sim seat, like a bucket seat. It's lime green, like my car. I'm really excited. I think it's coming in today or tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you might actually be faster, or at least more comfortable.
Oh, I'm gonna be faster. The more neon I have, the faster I'll go.
That is exactly right. The more obnoxious neon colors you have, the faster you go. Let's talk a little bit briefly about the long term here as well, because Kevin now has a 0 on the scorecard. We've seen how tightly you two have battled over the last handful of seasons. You've had a couple of seasons where you've had that 0 on the card. You got to be feeling pretty good here knowing, hey, this could be me and the teammates battling for this championship instead of me, the teammates, and Kevin.
Yeah, I think his work schedule changed, so it's unfortunate because, like, it was a lot of fun racing him and have somebody push me to that other level. But it's going to be nice to just be with my teammates. I'm going to see if we can collectively just perform at a higher rate. Maybe we'll get a couple more 1-2 finishes, but yeah. I'm looking forward to the season. It's a lot of tracks that I'm good at, too.
Well, yeah, you were pretty good at Daytona until the boss dumped you a couple of seasons ago. We'll see if you can return the favor next week. Johnny, congratulations on your first win of the fall season. And before we let you go, do all the big sponsor plugs and thank yous. Yep,
I'd like to thank all the admins that put this league together. Honestly, the the continuation of growth of this league has been amazing, and it's really great to be a part of. The racing's good and clean, but it's also hard and fierce, so that's great. Also have to thank Zeem's Setup Shop. It's been a lot of fun dabbling into the setup building world, so that's kind of cool. If you need any eNASCAR stuff, you can check us out. And then, last but not least, you guys up in the booth. It's always a pleasure talking to you guys at the end of these races.
Well, thanks, buddy. We appreciate it. Don't forget to thank the wife too, man. You can't forget the ladies in your life.
Okay.
All right, buddy. We'll let you get out of here, Johnny. Thank you very much, and congratulations on the win. I'll tell you what, James. This was not necessarily the race that I thought we were going to get here at Dover. But it's not totally unsurprising either, because this place can be known for those big, long runs, and quite frankly, a phenomenal job by this entire field tonight. Staying out of trouble, collecting it when you were in trouble, and quite frankly, doing a great job of saving tires, and for most of the field, doing this as a one-stop race.
Yeah, this was the race I expected. I expected it to go down exactly like this. It being a conservation fest, and waiting until the last 15 to see who's really battling for the win. And yeah, that's what I like about these races, is they're not full of outward drama. Like, you're not seeing constant action, but it's exciting because it's a different level of unpredictability, and that's all you really want from racing and sporting events in general, is the unpredictability, not knowing what's going to happen. And you weren't sure who was going to save enough. You weren't sure who was going to actually be battling for the win at the end. You had an idea, but you didn't know for sure, and that's what had me on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, it was quite frankly, a fantastic show that these guys put on tonight. Next week, 200 miles from the Daytona International Speedway. And we're going to shift the broadcast thank yous. I missed it tonight. Tonight was the Real Assist 150 here from Dover. Next week is going to be the Real Assist 200 from the Daytona International Speedway. We're looking forward to bringing that one to you. And quite frankly, we've got a whole lot coming up here on the National Racing Network over the next week or so as well. Taking a look at the schedule, coming up tomorrow night will be the Indy Pro 2000 Championship from Watkins Glen International. Second round of the Indy Pro Championship for 2023 Season 4. Next week, we kick things off with the Silver Crowns at North Wilkesboro Speedway, followed up with a TNT Shock Series at Myrtle Beach. That will be one of the best races we call all year, I think. Follow it up with the Sim Racers Club at Daytona, and then Indy Pro 2000 at Sebring. My goodness, this is going to be an incredible week of racing. We're looking forward to bring it all to you. But until then, until tomorrow night, I guess, when we head off to Watkins Glen, we will see you all later. For James Watson and everybody here at the National Racing Network that makes these shows happen, my name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us, and we will talk to you all soon. Have a great night, everybody.